everybody. Welcome back to D&J's Epic Quest. I am Soft Pillows, and this is...
This is Bird That Steals, aka Derek.
Dude, you cracked me up when I first saw that when you joined the Zoom call.
I'm glad you said something about yours because I don't know how long it would have taken me to notice otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna leave it just my regular name because it's my work account, and I don't want to join a meeting as Soft Pillows professionally.
Yeah, you probably have like that one person that would understand the reference.
Maybe. I don't think anybody I would Zoom with would understand that reference. They would
You never
probably
know.
think that I was like talking about myself or something.
Maybe.
So, yeah, how you been, man?
Pretty good. I feel like my week is kind of off here. I've just felt like it's been Thursday all week, and tomorrow's supposed to be Friday, but it's not. And yeah,
It's the actual Thursday.
tomorrow, yes. Yeah.
Yes. But dude, that's super strange because all this week I felt like it was a Thursday too.
Eventually we'll be right.
Eventually, tomorrow we will be.
Yeah. So I hope I'm not disappointed, and it feels like Friday.
It actually feels like a Thursday.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I guess it'll have to feel like a thirsty Thursday, maybe. I don't know.
Without the thirsty afterwards.
I mean, you never know.
That's true. So I guess about ready to delve into this 11-page chapter.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty quick, huh? Nothing crazy going on in your week before we get into this?
No, it's just been going really, really slow. So I don't know if it's just because the last 3 days I've been thinking it was a Thursday and tomorrow was supposed to be Friday. It's just everything has been really, really slow. You?
And the weekend will go too fast.
Right, because that's how it always works.
Yes.
What about you? Anything crazy in your week?
No. Just been working, and then I know you and I were talking prior to this, but we saw The Northman last night, and it was really good. Very violent, pretty gruesome, but it did have a couple twists in there that I did not see coming. So it was overall, it was a very good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit, especially enjoyed the ending.
Is the Northman, is it based off of a book or a comic book or, you know?
Not that I know of, but I guess it could be. But yeah, not as far as I'm aware.
Maybe we'll have to dig into that a little bit. Oh, you were sharing with me your the Alien pre-order came out. I forget the title.
Vasquez.
Vasquez, there it is.
Yeah, she's getting her origin story in book form, so that'll be cool. Yeah, that'll come sometime late October.
And from what I understand, the author is Latina. So uh, props to the author to represent a Latina character.
Yes, and I do remember seeing her Twitter that if I'm remembering right, her grandfather was a Marine. Is a Marine if he's still alive? That I'm not sure. But I imagine she was able to draw on that for, inspiration and authenticity and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to it. It'll be my first Alien book experience.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, I haven't read any of the Alien novels.
Dude,
But,
I've got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be calling on you. But eventually, any book, all the books that I want, I'll end up buying so that I can put it on my shelf.
Yeah, there's always a lot of books and not enough time.
Right. speaking of time, we realized that this is 10 books long. Each book after this one, I think, is over 1,000 pages.
I thought Dead House Gates was shorter,
It's like
or about the
800
same as the.
something.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. But I think Memories of Ice, which is the third book, I think at that point on, it's like 1,000 or more.
We just get to spend a lot of time together. That's all.
Hey, I'm totally okay with that.
Me
But
too.
sometimes my impatience gets the better of me because I want to know what's next.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Maybe we can get this down and we can get good enough at this. Maybe we do 2 chapters at a time or something, speed things up a little bit, but we'll just have to take it as it goes.
Yeah, I like our pace. I think we've been a little rough with some of the releases of the episodes in the last couple of weeks, but for those listeners that have been listening, appreciate your patience, or we appreciate your patience, as uh, they will likely be released every Sunday now instead of every Thursday or Friday or what it was.
Yeah, and I guess we'll have to see what happens with Google because when did we drop the last one? What day was that?
Well, I mean, from what I understand, Anchor pushes that to Spotify and Google, and I dropped it last Sunday or this previous Sunday, so 3 days ago.
So going on 4 days here, and it's still processing within Google. So I mean, there's not really a lot we can do with that, I don't think, but it'll get out.
Yeah, I'll give it maybe another day or two, and then see if I can figure out what's happening there.
In the meantime, we'll just record this one.
Sounds good to me. Well, what do you say we rock it?
I will rock out this chapter summary for the first part. You thought I was going somewhere else, didn't you?
Yeah,
I
I
know you
did.
did.
I did. I did. I thought you were because it was the long hesitation. I'm like, oh god, did his
I
mic
thought
cut
about
out? What is he doing?
I thought about going there.
It's a thought that counts.
All right. So shortly before sunrise, Whiskeyjack looked out over Lake Azure and to the south. He could faintly make out Darujistan. Crossing the mountain that night had been perilous. The coral ride had been rough, going through a massive thunderstorm, but luckily nobody had been lost. He heard footsteps behind him. It was Kalam and a black Maranth. Kalam said that the green Maranth delivered everything they needed and more. Fiddler and Hedge are two very happy sappers. Whiskeyjack tells the Black Maranth that he thought that they were short on munitions. The Black Maranth addresses Whiskeyjack as Bird That Steals. That's where my name came from today. I liked it. That was cool. And that the Maranth are known to the bridge burners and they will never lack for assistance. Also, the one-armed Maranth that Whiskeyjack had asked about in a previous chapter does indeed still live. The Black Maranth says, "We wish that the blood you find next on your hands is your enemies." Whiskeyjack tells Clam to gather Quickben and the others. He's going to go over his plan. The Empress's plan has been rejected, for now at least. He asks the Maranth if a squadron might be patrolling the area in 2 weeks. The Black Maranth says he will be. I'm saying he. I guess we don't know if it's a he or a she or what they are, but I've just said he. The Black Maranth says he will be commanding an excursion in 2 weeks' time. Whiskeyjack is not sure how to take that, and I guess I'm not entirely sure why, but he's a little bit confused on that. But the Black Maranth says, "We are not so unalike. In our eyes, deeds have measure. We judge, we act upon our judgments. As in Pale, we match spirit with spirit." Wiskeyjack asks what he means. 18,739 souls departed in the purge of Pale, one for each Moranth confirmed as a victim of Pale's history of enmity towards us. Wiskeyjack was speechless and quite shaken up, especially by his next words. The Moranth says that the body, or I presume the Empire is what he really means, is infected and infested with worms, but they can be purged before it becomes a mortal infection, and that the Moranth are skilled at removing such an infection, spirit for spirit. The Moranth boards the Coral and says they will meet in 2 weeks. Wiskeyjack is drawn back to his team, still stunned, and reiterates his plan, that it is his plan that they are using, and that the Empress's plan is meant to get them all killed, and he's not a fucking about that at all. They aren't going to mine the gates to the city, and they'll use the Moranth ammunition in better ways. They'll split into 2 teams with 2 objectives. Kalam, Quick Ben, and Sari are one team. Wiskeyjack will lead the other. The first objective is to get into the city without being noticed. So they will need to fish. They'll need to get civilian clothes, because if they come into the city without any fish, it's going to look suspicious. Sari says that she used to fish a long time ago. Wiskeyjack asks Hedge how much munitions they have, and he says 2 crates. He tells everyone to listen up if they want to survive.
Crazy intro to the chapter, right? Like, it's pretty much picking up where we left off. I believe in the last chapter of the subbook Pale, where everybody was on top of the tower, and the corals were landing on the roof, and they're all getting gathered up to go. This was like shortly after Ganoz was stabbed.
Yeah, and the part that I found most interesting is that it seems like there's a long history of, I guess, almost 19,000 people. I guess that would probably qualify as a genocide. I don't know if the city of Pale was built on the Moranth's like land or something. But apparently the people of Pale killed a lot of Moranth, and so when the city fell, they took their pound of flesh, so to speak, and repaid them for everybody that they had lost.
I didn't interpret it like that at all, but that makes so much more sense than what I had.
How did you take it?
So I had this weird notion that like an honor type of thing, where so many soldiers had like fallen, so judge be judged, spirit for spirit, right? I just kept going to, they sacrificed themselves. I don't know why that was my initial thought, but hearing the way that you're explaining it, I'm like, that makes sense. Like, they got their vengeance, or they got their retribution, so to speak. Like that I'm gonna stick with that, because that sounds better than my crazy cockamamie idea.
I think retribution sounds like a good way to put it, because that's what it seems like. To me, like, that many people, I mean, I guess you could kill that many people pretty quick, but I would feel like that's probably a little bit more drawn out, but I guess we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the history of Pale and the Black Moranth, or even just all of the different colors of the Moranth, potentially, really hasn't been revealed as of yet. Hopefully that's kind of something that we get to dive deeper into in future chapters. But yeah, we know that there's some type of tension there. Well, not even tension, but just Pale being an asshole, so to speak, and the Black Moranth aiding in the Empire to, I guess, essentially just kind of get what's theirs, spirit for spirit, as he says.
Yeah, I liked that line, and it came up a few times. That spirit for spirit, eye for an eye type deal. It's just a little bit different way to put it, but I liked it. And then just the view that they have that that there's this infestation in the body and it needs to be purged. Um, to me, it sounds like that the Moranth might have a pretty big role in things down the road here.
I think so too, and I think that what potentially you may be getting at is the Black Moranth not necessarily. I mean, yes, they are an ally to the Empress, but they're not loyal. This makes it seem like they are not loyal to the Empire, but rather just like there's a common interest. The Empire wanted Pale to fall. The Black Moranth had some type of vendetta against the city of Pale, and so they just went along with it because it served their purposes too. Is what
Yeah,
I'm
it was.
gathering. Yeah,
Yeah, it seemed like a convenient alliance for the time.
right. Like the friend of my enemy is my enemy, or yeah, whatever that saying is.
I don't remember. Yeah, enemy of my enemy is my friend. Is
Something
that
like
right?
that. Yeah, yeah. That may not apply in a situation because I'm just thinking of it and really haven't had time to analyze how that would fit in, but that's just kind of where I'm going with as far as this conversation with the Black Moranth and the Pale and the Empire.
I wish at the end of this chapter that maybe we would have got a little bit more in depth on the plan, on both the plans. The Empress's plan, the shit plan. If it was just similar to Pale, where you're gonna bury it, or tunnel under the city again. I don't know why does that seem to be the favorite tactic? I don't know, especially if it's a city by a big lake. I would think the tunnels might fill up with water.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was just I mean tunneling underneath a city, right? Like I think that was probably just some type of surprise attack, or at least that was what it was made to look like, was a surprise attack. But really it was just sabotage because we know that the tunnels underneath Pale. Um,
Collapse with a bunch of people in them.
right, and in that chapter, Pale is mentioned to drive so far into the earth that not even magic could get under it. So yeah, there's all these like small little clues that allude to like pointless plans. So what's the purpose really?
Right. And I wish we would have got a little bit more of Whiskey Jack's plan beyond, okay, well, we got to get there. We're going to look like common folk and we're going to fish. I just kind of want to know more of what he's thinking.
Well, I think that and it was probably maybe really just a sentence or two, but in this section of this chapter, I think that the somebody mentioned, I think it was either Fiddler or Metler, one of the, or even the other sapper, was talking about, oh, so we're not supposed to just like take down the gates or something like that. So maybe that was maybe the beginning of Emperor Empress Lucine's plan, was to like make it seem like Jerujistan was being attacked, so the drunken uh terrible army of Jerujistan can come out and kill these 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I guess.
I guess we'll just have to wait for more to be unveiled.
I think we will probably find a lot out in the next two chapters of this subbook.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying his like, I guess the way that I would associate it is just a slow reveal of kind of the environment, the world building, the characters. Like it's not just like boom, it's this person, he's done this and this. We're just kind of thrown into what the characters are currently going through, and like a lot of the characters past is still pretty shrouded in mystery. We've got bits and pieces of some characters, but not quite all of them.
Yeah, there's still a lot of undiscovered places on the map, so to speak.
Exactly. Did you pick up what sapper meant?
Where
Just like
or referring to what?
just because he was talking, like he was mentioning that Fiddler and Hedge were happy sappers. Like, did I had to look up what sapper was, so I'm just, I guess, asking if you did the same.
Oh, I assume they're like demolitionists. Like,
Close. They're engineers. They're like, yeah,
so I figure they got like a bunch of like dynamite or something effectively, they can blow up a bunch of shit.
yeah, yeah. Um, how did you like the how'd you like the sorry reference here and the fish?
I know that it comes up again, in my other section, but it was a good little nod to the beginning.
Yeah. So I think that you and I are probably in agreement now that sorry is likely this girl that Riga possessed.
Yeah.
But it's funny that Riga hasn't been mentioned anywhere but the first chapter. So I'm wondering if that is by intent or design potentially.
Um, I guess, or maybe just she wasn't meant to have that big of a part, so
I mean, that's
maybe more
always
so by intent.
that's also a possibility too. I don't know. That's a hill I'll die on. I think that she'll come around. She'll come around and be mentioned again.
Well, we got 9.5 more books to go.
Only
Plenty of
nine.
time for you to be right.
Ooh, yeah. Speaking of 9.5, dude, we're like almost halfway through this book.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And to think we've only released, this is what, our 9th episode?
This is our 9th episode. Yes, chapter 8.
Man, it's gone by way too quick. Way too quick.
Yeah, we got to be pretty close to the 2-month mark here.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. Little over 2 months. I think we started at the beginning of March, didn't we?
Something like that.
Yeah,
So
it's
then
a
I guess
little
we're
under
not
two
probably
months.
quite. Yeah, we're right about there. But we digress.
We digress. Well, yeah. And also I feel like the Green Maranth, they, from what I understood, is they delivered like boating materials. Like that is what I took when he talked about the surplus of munitions.
Yeah, that and yeah, whatever else. I think they just must be the fucking mailmen of Malazan. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's the Pony Express, the Quarrel Express,
There you go.
the
I
Quarrel
like it.
Express of Malazan. Let's go with that.
Sounds all right. Yeah,
Well, cool, man.
I'll get on board with that.
Do you have? I guess I can't think of anything else for the specific section. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to it?
I did not.
Bear with me. I ended up writing a novel of a summary, but I felt it was appropriate for the events that took place. So, without further ado, in a secluded part of the forest at the foot of the hills slash mountain of Lake Azure, Quick Ben is pouring white sand in a circle. Sitting down in the center of the circle, he pulls out 5 sharp stakes and then drives them into the earth in a row. The center stake being the highest, the 2 to its left and right slightly shorter, and then the 2 at the very ends even shorter yet. Quick Ben then wraps gut string around each stake, which gut string apparently is, when I looked it up, it's like a guitar string. With hands folded in his lap, he says, "Hairlock." As this is said, an outer stick quivers and turns slightly. Quick Ben says Hairlock's name again. All 5 stakes quiver, and the one in the center bends in the direction of Quick Ben. A cold wind is felt on his forehead, driving away any of his sweat. Rushing sounds are heard, and he can feel himself falling through dark caverns. Flashes of blinding light sting his eyes, and a wind that pulled at his skin. In some shielded part of his mind, he had a sense of control, and with that came calmness. Within that calmness, he was able to think, observe, and analyze. He whispers Hairlock, as if speaking to the puppet in his mind. He says that the puppet has gone too far, and this Warren will swallow you, and that Hairlock is losing control. I can interpret Quick Ben moving around within what is revealed as the Cavern of Chaos, stating that Hairlock had no choice but to match him, but upward. He found himself standing on a spar of rock. The rock was at an angle. In front of him was the peak of the rock, and behind him, the rock sank below the yellow mist. Quick Ben experiences some vertigo and quickly regains his balance after a slight loss of balance. He then hears a giggle and turns around to see Hairlock sitting atop the peak of the spar of rock. Quick Ben asks Hairlock if this is the spar of Andy or Andy. Hairlock responds by saying halfway. Hairlock continues on by pointing out how far he's gone into this warren to the very foot where apparently power finds its shape and all is possible. Eyeing the Pinocchio, Quick Ben, with a skeptical tone, asked how it felt to be around so much power and how alien it must have felt. Hairlock hisses at this and tells Quick Ben that he'll master it, and that Quick Ben knows absolutely nothing. With a smile, Quick Ben tells Hairlock that he's been here before. Looking around, Quick Ben asks Hairlock about the creatures that call this warren home. Hairlock, giving a shudder, indicates to Quick Ben that Hairlock indeed has seen them or encountered them. Hairlock snaps at Quick Ben, telling Quick Ben that he is his protector and therefore his responsibility. And if Hairlock were to be taken, he would not refrain from letting his captors know. Quick Ben reaffirms to Hairlock that he is indeed bound to him, or is bound to him. He crouches down. It was described crouches on his haunches, and then asks about Tattersail, our soft pillows heroine. Hairlock explains that she was not well, but seems to be on the mend. Hairlock continues by telling the story of Gear and Ganoz, and the sword that shouldn't have been able to do what it did, claiming that it likely left a fatal blow. And then Hairlock begins to explain that Taishran is aware and has sent his minions out into the warrens looking for clues, i.e., looking for Hairlock. Hairlock also explains that Taishran is aware of the Bridgeburners squad involvement, but hoping Tattersail dies from the illness so that Taishran wouldn't have to do it himself. But on the contrary, Hairlock begins to explain that if Tattersail were to die, he would then lose valuable information about the events that occurred. Pausing, Hairlock kind of growls as if madness has slipped in. He snaps at Quick Ben, stating that the wizard hasn't told him everything and that the gods are involved in this somehow. Pulling out his small knife, he starts to walk towards Quick Ben. Quick Ben calmly and coolly stays where he is and has the thought that if there was something present, that he should have felt something. So kind of dismissing Hairlock's claim about a god being involved, I guess, in this moment. As Hairlock approaches closer with the knife drawn, he tells the wizard one last thing, and that was when Tattersail's fever did break. She had screamed about a coin falling and now has entered someone's hand. Hairlock stops and is having an internal dialogue with himself about the coin and how Gear should have killed Tattersail. And now that Ganoz has saved her life, he attends to her. And whenever Hairlock approaches, he puts his hand on a sword. Quick Ben is hearing all of this, but kind of inside of his own mind, before Hairlock realizes that Quick Ben stands up and approaches the puppet, who is kind of what I imagined on the edge of this like slab of rock, kind of staring off at the yellow mist below. He tells Hairlock to pursue Tayshren's plan, and then Sparta kicks Hairlock the fuck over the edge and into the yellow mist below. Raising his hands, he begins to soar above, rising out of the cavern with one word on his mind, and that was gear.
So I won't lie that I struggled with this part quite a bit, just making heads and tails of it.
Sure. I felt like I got a decent grasp on it, but what is it that what did you find yourself struggling with?
I don't know. For whatever reason, I had a really hard time with it. But as you were reading your summary here, I had the realization that Hairlock is also Randall Thor
Oh,
going insane.
yep. Maybe he's got someone in his
And
mind.
I think he also might know Jon Snow
What makes you think the Jon Snow part?
because he says something to the effect of "You know nothing."
Ah, yeah, gotcha.
But I don't know. Just I had a hard time with like understanding. I guess like what the point was of this meeting.
I mean, I guess this is probably going to be lame, but maybe it'll like help depict a picture. Do you remember in like Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi are battling on the lava planet? I forget what it's called, and they're both kind
I
of
have
like
the high ground.
yeah, except more like when they're actually dueling on this like rock that's floating in the middle of this lava river. That's kind of like how I imagined, except less lava and more like this slab of rock suspended into the air of this cavern of chaos warren, and Hairlock at the very top of it, and then Quick Ben kind of in the middle of it, somehow managing to keep his balance. That part in my mind doesn't really make sense, but that's kind of like how I envisioned this interaction between these two characters taking place.
So what did you get out of this section? Because I'm not sure what I got out of it.
Well, if
And maybe asking that question would be a better way, I guess, to maybe clear things up.
sure. So you remember how in the confrontation with Gear, how Hairlock, I mean, Gear essentially had followed Hairlock through like Warrens, right? Because he was
Yep.
threading through some back door of the Warrens, and Gear had tracked him to Pale. But remember how Tattersail like trips Hairlock? So,
No.
oh, you don't. Okay. Well, in that confrontation, Hairlock is doing something. I think he was going to like, oh yeah, he was going to steal Gear's soul. And as he was doing so, Tayshren, not Tayshren, sorry, Soft Pillows, Tattersail, trips him on his way to doing so, and gives Tattersail a curse. And then that is when like Ganoz busts open the door of the bedroom and like breaks in and stabs the fuck out of this dark hound, so to speak. But that is what Hairlock is referring to when he's like telling the story of kind of like the after events, like the things that we didn't get to read in that chapter was, Tattersail. I feel at the very end of like the very last, I feel like that chapter closes off with her like slipping into like subconscious and the spinning coin and things like that. So I think we're just being.
So maybe go ahead.
Oh, I think we're just being reintroduced to. We're being reintroduced to these characters and kind of picking up where they left off, but in a more abstract way.
So maybe if I was gonna just really dumb this down, I guess I would maybe say that this is like a retelling of the events from that what happened to Quick Ben?
Um,
Is that
so you're
maybe like a one sentence breakdown, I guess?
not so much Quick Ben, but you remember how Quick Ben, I mean, we all remember him transferring the soul from Hairlock to the puppet, right? And he
Yeah.
has been tasked to search the Warrens for information, thus going into the Warren of Shadow and getting, Gear and Amanus and Cotillion kind of hot on his trail, which as he slips through these warrens, like he's slowly becoming mad. So uh he's losing control of Hairlock essentially, because madness is taking control of him is like corrupting what it was to be Hairlock.
Interesting. Okay. Sure. I will get on board with that.
So
Just like I said, I had a hard time with this, so it's not going to take a ton of convincing from you to get me on board with you.
what else can I convince you to do? Just kidding.
Hey, I
Hey.
mean, give me a couple drinks, and
Oh, funny. Yeah,
I did enjoy the Sparta kick. That was pretty awesome.
I mean, yeah, that's what I envisioned. But yeah, it's just yeah, it's Quick Ben's way of getting a report from Hairlock, because he's essentially summoning him, because Hairlock at this point is either still locked in his box in Tattersail's room, or he is weaving between the threads of the Warren, uh, continuing to look for information. So I think that this section is really just about like a status report, so to speak. But for whatever reason, I think that Quick Ben is transported to the Warren that Hairlock is currently in, because it's said that Hairlock's description is that he's all scarred, and or not scarred, but like his he's having burns and scorches all over his body, and like his clothes are ripped and seared and stuff like that. So I really think at the core this is just like a rendezvous, so to speak, to like update reports and get a bearing as to what's going on.
I think that makes sense. I think that's a good way to put it, and that makes sense to me. But yeah, just this part, so far in the book, I probably struggled with the most for whatever reason. It didn't resonate with me very well, and I just struggled with it.
Hey, and that's all right. I mean, beauty of the podcast, right? But
Yep, I'm glad I had you to explain it to me.
I also feel like though there's going to be those chapters where both of us may be in this exact same situation, or like, I don't know, dude. I have no idea. But maybe, and then at that point, through the beauty of podcasting and just talking it out, maybe it'll be like, aha, I got it.
Right. I also think just with the last sentence here, I don't think that Gear is dead. I think Gear is still alive out there somewhere.
I think so too. I think Hairlock is speculating, but he's definitely questioning the sword, right? Like, there's no possible way that this mere sword. So I think that is why he thinks that a god is meddling, is because there's no fucking way that this sword should have been able to pierce Gear's magic, or whatever.
Whatever wards or
Yeah,
protection he had.
protection spells. So yeah, I mean, Cavern of Chaos is, you know, essentially, I think it's an Elder Warren. I very well could be wrong on that, but it is some type of Elder Warren. So I don't know if like Hairlock is getting stronger as he, is endeavoring into trying to seek out this information, but he's at this point, like, I feel like he's unreliable. And I feel like Quick Ben at this point is questioning, like, how tight of a control do I really have on him anymore? And even Hairlock makes the comment in the section that, hey, it wouldn't be that difficult for a god to take over control. So blah blah blah. As in like some type of threat. But I feel like Hairlock in this section is estranged is a bad word, but he's all over the place. Like, he seems to have moments of like sincerity, he seems to have moments of sanity, he seems to have moments of just pure anger. He's just I feel like Hairlock may not be around for very long. Or
He's kind of nutso a little bit.
yeah, all burning out. That kind of that I feel like would describe it. He just seems like he's burning out. Like he's been pushed so far beyond his means, and he seems like he's so determined to like conquer whatever magic this Warren is, even though it is alien to him. But when Hairlock is approaching Quick Ben with like the knife, it this is what makes me think that like he's completely mad. Is Quick Ben hears all of this madness inside. So what we the reader are interpreting as Quick Ben and Hairlock having a conversation, what's actually happening is Quick Ben is hearing Hairlock's internal dialogue with himself. So Hairlock is not verbally talking to Quick Ben. He's thinking about uh Tattersail and Gear and the sword, and how every time he gets close to Tattersail, Gnos is putting his hand on his sword. So, and Quick Ben, realizes that like, oh my god, this motherfucker's dark. This is a fucking fucked up piece of shit right here, and that is scary as it's like scaring the shit out of him. And that's where like he kind of like starts to question how much he has control over Hairlock. Um, Honestly, I feel like this was maybe 3.5 pages. After we're done, or before you move on to the next chapter, just give it another quick read and see if some of the things that we've talked about kind of go like click in place for you.
Yeah, I'll have to do that, and maybe it will. But at the time, when I read it, I just was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, I just like, I don't know why, but that's okay.
It's all good. I liked the sense of environment I got from this chapter. Hopefully I can get it depicted in a drawing sometime soon. But yeah, outside of that, those are really the only things that I had. I really like this section.
Well, good. I'm glad you did because, like I said, it was a tough one for me, and so it was hard to enjoy. It's hard to enjoy it when you can't make heads or tails of it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Hopefully, this will help it make more sense.
Yeah, it definitely did. So thank you. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad you were able to word it that way, the way you did.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Glad I could help.
Yeah. Are you ready for the last section here?
Let's do it.
Okay. It's pretty quick here. Wiskeyjack rose and all was quiet. Everyone seemed to be in a depressed mood, lost in their own thoughts, looking the other direction. Hardly anybody would look at Wiskeyjack. The only one who would was Sorry, and she gave him looks quite opposite of everybody else. She was looking at him in approving manner. He looks the other way and sees Quick Ben. He tells them to load up the boat, get ready. Kalam has his doubts about the plan. Everybody's beat to hell. They have to row across this lake that's massive. that it's practically a fucking sea. Wiskeyjack reminds him that they can't use a warren because using a warren that close to the city is going to be detected. And the only other option they have is still on the boat, but if there's wind, they can make a sail. They both agree that Sari mentioning she knows how to fish is random as fuck. Came out of nowhere. Um, Quick Ben says he's got something to suggest to Wiskeyjack and he's going to hate it. Wiskeyjack says, well, go for it. Let me hear it. A few minutes later, Wiskeyjack, Kalam, and Quick Ben show up at the beach. Trots is trying to drag the loaded boat off the beach into the water, and he's got about a dozen yards to go. Wiskeyjack yells at him and tells him to drop the rope. Since everybody thought it was a good idea to load the boat before they got it in the water, everybody else could drag the boat into the water with Trots riding inside of it. Wiskeyjack tells Sari and Fiddler to go find some wood to make a mast for a sail in case it's windy enough. Everyone else starts dragging the boat to water, and nobody's very happy about it.
I thought I thought that part was funny the first time I read it, because basically he kind of reprimands Sari because he had tasked her with leading this group into getting the boat ready because she had offered up her services as far as being a fisher, knowing how to fish, because they had loaded the boat so far away from the fucking like actual water that he is like, "You're a dumbass, Sorry. Hey, you get out of the boat. You did a ton of work by yourself. Go enjoy and relax. All the rest of you fuckers standing around, get to work." You know? So I just thought that was super funny, which is probably why they were questioning Sorry as to why she brought up on how to know fish, on how she, knew how to make a mast and knew how to fish, which I think we as the reader would totally agree with. But from their perspective, I think that they're like scratching their asses, like, are you fucking, are you sure? A little bit of doubt there.
Yeah, they don't know her past. They don't know her history as far as that goes. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, if they're going to have any trials, crossing the lake, or if things will go relatively smoothly. I would expect we'll probably see it, the lake crossing and probably what happens after in this next chapter.
Yeah, like once they get into the city, hopefully events take place, or something starts to get rolling, because we have all of these pieces and they all kind of seem to be like merging together. So curious as to see where it goes, and where it leads. But with how much you're thrown for loops in this book, like, it could very well just be another introduction of new characters, because that's
Yeah.
what we thought with at the ending of the subbook Pale, and then we hopped into the subbook Darujhistan, and we were just introduced to a completely new set of characters. So
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if we ran into more new characters, but I think things are kind of coming to a head here.
I feel like it. Yeah, I feel like that too. Like something's coming. Something's coming on the horizon, or over the horizon. But at the same time, I'm like not trying to get my hopes up for anything. I'm just gonna read this 50-page chapter.
Yeah, this next chapter is an absolute monster. So I we will have a lot to talk about next week.
Maybe it'll be a 3-hour episode.
It very well could be.
I mean, I don't mind. I think that will work, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what all takes place. It could be, 25 pages of one person's perspective, and we just have very long summaries to read.
That's true, but there's still, I mean, there's got to be a lot of stuff that happens in 50 pages. I mean, you can only describe the landscape,
Right.
For so many pages.
Absolutely. Yeah. Uh, as far as this last section of this chapter, and I don't have a ton of input. It was pretty straightforward. So
Yeah, there's not really much to dissect there. So
one thing I did forget about the first section though is you remember the whole Black Maranth and the one-armed soldier inquiry by Wiskeyjack?
yep.
I mean, I know that it could not possibly be Dujek One Arm because I know that the Black Maranth mentioned that they had fought at a battle together at some point. Or maybe I'm misinterpreting something, but I feel like that there is something there. So like my original thoughts go to, oh well, is Dujek like a Black Maranth? I can't really recall any type of significant description of Dujek outside of the fact that he doesn't have an arm. So
I did not draw that comparison, so that's interesting. Yeah, is he a yeah, I don't know.
it was just something that like stuck
I'm
out to
gonna
me. I mean, how many characters are you gonna have that have one arm?
right. Yeah. But I know we know that he's kind of older, but I mean, was he exiled or something? I don't know.
Right.
I suppose it's possible, but I guess for my heart's kind of telling me no right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna shit on your
Oh
parade
no. I
and be like it's a definite no. But it's definitely an interesting thought,
right.
and it's like I said, it's not something I connected the dots on.
Yeah, because I know that previous. I mean, we know that Whiskey Jack and One Arm, Whiskey Jack actually used, or One Arm used to report to Whiskey Jack. Not so much these days. Uh, One Arm has a little bit of a higher ranking as the High Fist, right? So I don't know why Whiskey Jack wouldn't be inquiring about a one-armed soldier to the Black Maranth when it seems that Whiskey Jack and Dujek already have a little bit of a history together. So I don't know if maybe this was yeah, I guess the timeline could be anywhere, but that was just what my original thought went to. And as much as I wanted to say you're absolutely 100% wrong, Justin, I just thought I would mention it.
No, it's definitely worth mentioning.
Cool. Nice little introductory chapter.
Right smack dab in the middle. No, that was the first chapter, wasn't it?
Yes. The first chapter of the subbook, The Mission.
Yeah, that's I don't like it's my Thursday brain apparently.
Yep. Thursday coming in to wreck it again. But yeah, I guess this will probably be the shortest episode outside of the prologue that we've had in a while. So hopefully everybody likes it.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed us. I guess this would be a good time to plug ourselves.
Yeah, let's plug ourselves in.
So you can find us on Twitter at D&J Epic Q. You can find us on Facebook, Derek D&J's Epic Quest. Instagram, I don't remember what that is. You gave me that, and I've tried Instagram and not a big fan so far. So I don't know how much work I'll put into that if I'm going to be honest, Justin. I'll try. It's just different than anything else that I'm used to, and yeah, like your section here, it's something I'm struggling with. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old and I'm not hip with the kids these days.
I mean, maybe, but if there's anyone who's listening that maybe has some Instagram suggestions for us, we'd love to hear it.
Hell, maybe we can have somebody run Instagram for us.
Maybe that could be something that we have in the future. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. As far as finding us, listening to us, if you've made it this far, you probably have a pretty good idea, but you can find us on Anchor/Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts.
That's right.
Just search D&J's Epic Quest and we should turn up.
Yep. And the beauty of our podcast is that Derek and I have never read these books before. So you get a kind of a unique perspective, as in we have no idea what is to come. We are keeping ourselves away from spoilers. So it really gives us kind of a unique stance to talk about because it's really just a first impression type uh, podcast on the chapters we go through. So give us a listen. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and have a good night, y'all.
Take care. Have a good night.